Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast. Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guests are Allon Mason and Alexa Huth. Allon Mason is an American-Israeli entrepreneur who has founded successful companies in many fields, including a top online marketplace, SaaS company, and online payment systems. His most recent innovative company, UserWay, organically grew to become the world's leading accessibility and compliance solution. Currently, more than 500,000 websites worldwide trust UserWay's powerful solutions. Allon has thrived in the tech industry for the past 2 decades, passing his knowledge on to the entrepreneurs he mentors. He is enthusiastic about sharing the importance of digital accessibility and inclusivity with the world. Alexa Huth is a content creator and advisor at UserWay, who specializes in international startup communications. She earned a BA and a Master's of Arts in Professional Writing from Carnegie Mellon University and is a passionate accessibility advocate dedicated to creating a barrier-free internet. Good afternoon, Allon and Alexa. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. This is exciting having you both on the show. Really want to jump in to the questions and talk more about accessibility. I think that's so important in today's age. So Allon, I love your company you're doing to help people with accessibility become more mainstream. Great work and contributions in what you've done in your career and to this particular space around accessibility. Could you tell us just a little bit about your company and why accessibility is so important?
Sure. So there are many reasons why accessibility is at the forefront of business initiatives today. First of all, it really helps end users access your digital content, whether it's your website or PDF documents or videos and multimedia. The reason why you're putting information out there and the reason why you have your website for your business is really to provide services and information to end users and to the public. So the first reason is it really helps people access content and information without barriers in a smooth and accessible manner. And it's not just an initiative or not just a business objective, but it really is, there's a lot of technical requirements behind that. So there are definitions for what an accessible page looks like or how it functions in accessible form and accessible colors and so on. Another really important reason why accessibility is critical in today's business environment is because it is the law. The ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, requires websites to be accessible. And you might ask yourself, why does the ADA get involved in website accessibility? So websites today are considered public places, just like the lobby of a building or a park or a street and a sidewalk. Things need to be accessible, whether they're physical or digital. So websites being considered public places today must be accessible and meet ADA guidelines that are based on the WCAG 2.1 requirements. And WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And by the way, this isn't only American federal law, it's also European law. And this law exists in the Far East and in South America and in many countries around the world. So businesses are understanding that they are exposed legally if they don't put effort into ensuring their websites and digital content are accessible. And we're seeing tremendous increase in lawsuits and demand letters coming from people who are experiencing barriers to accessing digital content. And so ensuring your website is accessible does also provide you protective legal framework and helps you mitigate any legal exposure around that. And I guess the third pillar to why accessibility is important is it helps you on the business side. It does help you gain access to more users. It helps you with SEO. Google will normally provide you with a better page rank and better search results when your website is considered accessible and has accessibility capabilities built into it. And our company, UserWay, which provides accessibility for over 650,000 websites, is the leading player today that really has made a revolution in the way companies are able to make their websites accessible. In the past, it used to require an investment of hundreds of thousands of dollars to train your developers, to maintain, to make the code changes. And with UserWay, with a single line of JavaScript, you can actually become compliant with ADA requirements, and it makes the world of a difference to your end users and your business.
Allon, I appreciate you sharing that. I think that is so important, and I think we all have some work to do. As you know, Google's making some significant deadlines with that coming up in January, I believe. So thank you for sharing. Most appreciated. So Alexa, you understand how accessibility is. We'd love to hear your perspective on the importance of accessibility, especially as I know you yourself are visually impaired as well.
Yes, so I've actually been visually impaired for about 10 years now. So I was diagnosed with lattice degeneration and my retinas started to detach. Before then, I wasn't very aware of the accessibility field. Obviously, it wasn't something that had impacted me to the degree that it does today. And so it is hard for a lot of businesses, I think, to conceptualize exactly what's needed. Every disability is different. And so when they're looking to approach this huge topic of how do I become compliant and how do I make my website accessible, it can often be really overwhelming. And we kind of want to make that simpler and a better user experience for the end user with the widget, but also for the website owner by making their site more compliant.
Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And I appreciate you being here as really, in a sense, a super user or someone that can really relate with the issues that we have across the internet with our websites.
Very important, and I appreciate you giving us a platform. It's an under-discussed topic, and it's definitely one of the problems that it's really hard to get into unless you talk to the users themselves and you understand what's missing from their perspective. And of course, as a visually impaired person, my perspective is going to be different than a deaf user or someone who's mobility impaired, or even somebody who's fully blind. We all need different accommodations. And so tools that can help us with the internet, different degrees and with different features, are really important these days.
Absolutely. So Alexa, I want to dive into this topic a bit deeper. Could you share your insights into some little things about accessibility that a lot of site admins don't think about, and what can be done to help ensure their websites are free from, discriminatory bias and, racially charged language?
Sure. So I want to tackle that, I think, in two parts. First of all, site administrators do miss a lot of things, but like I've been saying, it's hard to know what you don't know. And I think the biggest thing to help combat that is to invite users that will have accessibility issues to the table when you're building your website and ask them what barriers are preventing them from interacting with forms or actually completing the task that they went to your website to do, whether that's online shopping or just reading your content. A lot of times there are pop-ups that block me from a website and I'll just leave immediately. So you might not think that these things are barriers, but they can pretty quickly alienate your users. So I think in that way, site administrators really need to do user testing and conduct more studies on what the websites are actually doing rather than what they think they're doing. And then in terms of content moderation and removing bias and hate speech, UserWay actually just launched content moderation, and that will automatically scan your site and flag anything that might potentially be an issue. And that gives the users the ability to figure out which sites actually care. So the sites that are looking through their content, looking through anything that maybe was posted 10 years ago that the site owners don't even remember they put up, and saying, okay, this is no longer acceptable. We're going to change this language or we're going to remove this and fix it. That kind of level of care is really important. But then again, addressing the underlying issue. If there is bias, making sure that that doesn't continue to happen. Just removing the text isn't enough. You need to look at the deeper problem. And again, addressing that by bringing people who are actually impacted by it to the table and asking them how to do better is the best way to combat that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate it, and I know my readership would appreciate it as well. Allon, can you share something, maybe an example on how you've helped companies' websites become more accessible?
Yeah, sure. So there are actually many ways that the UserWay technology helps websites become more accessible. First of all, UserWay's core product is the UserWay accessibility widget, which you can place on your website, whether you have a large enterprise website or a smaller SMB or a Soho website, to provide added functions for end users to modify their personal experience on your site. So they could change various capabilities and the look and feel of your site. So if they wanted to enable a screen reader, if it's a visually impaired person, to read the contents of the page or change the contrast. We have also recently launched the UserWay Dyslexia font, which is a font that is catered towards people with various types of dyslexia to make the reading of the content more fluid and easier and potentially less confusing as well. We have received over the past number of years an outpouring of appreciative comments and letters from people who are using our technology, whether it's via email or Twitter, or contacting us directly and sharing their experiences with us. And just recently, we were contacted by a company who said that a number of their visually impaired users have reached out to them, thanking them for having the UserWay accessibility widget on the website. The accessibility widget, in fact, doesn't only give users those enhancements and added functionality, but it does a lot in the back end. It looks at the structure of the code to ensure that any potential accessibility violations are remediated automatically. So a lot of the accessibility remediations may be invisible to normal abled people, but once a visually impaired person interacts with a screen reader, it's a whole different website. It's a whole different experience with so much more content being read to them in a much more accessible manner. And finally, I think the issue of legal mitigation. So having UserWay provides site administrators and site owners the ability to sleep well at night, knowing that they have a protective legal framework, that they're ADA compliant, that they don't have to worry about lawsuits and demand letters. And the impact is significant both from the user perspective, the business perspective as well. We are seeing websites report increased in traffic, increased in engagement, and increased in bottom line in transactions. And so it really is a win-win situation. Everyone benefits from being accessible. We just need to continue working on the awareness, ensuring that the public understands that whether it's web developers or website owners or businesses and organizations in general, understand that accessibility is not only a nice to have, but it's something that everyone should have today, and businesses should be offering it to their end users.
That's amazing, Allon. I appreciate you sharing that. I think what you're doing and your widget is going to absolutely change the game when it comes to accessibility, especially now that Google has really stepped up their game in really affecting how search engine optimization and ranking is handled these days. So thanks for sharing. So Alexa and Allon, it was certainly my pleasure having you on the show today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you
so much for this opportunity.
Bye for now.